Well, welcome everyone to the Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework bi-weekly sync. Today is August 7th, and I'm your host, Hugo Bernier. We have a packed agenda for you today, and to talk about the agenda, I'm going to ask Adam. No, just kidding. Our agenda is the latest updates for SharePoint Framework. We are going to talk about the community project updates. Then we're going to have picture time with Together Mode, and we have two fantastic demos. One by David Warner, a newcomer in the community, who's going to talk about Copilot Samples and Contributions in under 7 minutes. And Paul Bullock, another newcomer in the community, who's going to talk about Copilot Extensibility Unleashed powered by Community Samples. We have tons of resources available to you in our community. We have our community learning videos on YouTube. We have our LinkedIn pages and groups for discussions and updates. Then we have our open source initiatives that provide you all sorts of really cool tools. We have our sample galleries, which are also open source and you can take advantage of. But more importantly, all those links, all those resources can be found in one place in our community homepage at aka.ms/community/home. We have Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community calls regularly, and you're on one of these. The Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly call with Microsoft speakers is currently going on. And during the summer, we are letting our community take over, and we have community demos as well as Microsoft demos. Then on a monthly basis, we have our Power Platform community call and our Office add-ins monthly call. And then every other week, we switch between the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call and the Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework call, which is this call. And you can get to all the invites from our community calls by going to aka.ms/community/calls. All the calls are published in social media and our community meetup page. On our next Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly call on August the 12th, we're going to have the latest news from Microsoft Engineering on Microsoft 365 and Power Platform topics. We're still going to have our Together Mode, and then we're going to have a demo with Sean Watson and Jason Huang from Microsoft, talking about data discovery and exploration with Dataverse. And then Wasil Akbari is going to talk about SharePoint Hackathon, their SharePoint Hackathon entry. I'm having a hard time speaking today, with AI-powered employee help desk for SharePoint. And if you have something that you'd like to share with us, please request to present. Everyone is welcome. You can just go to aka.ms/community/request/demo and let us know what you'd like to present about, and we will find the best call for you. Now, if you'd like to know how to get started on contributing to the community, we have guidance for you. And to talk about it is my friend David.
Yes, thank you, Hugo. Guidance is what we have, everybody. So sharing is caring. We're actually going to get a little mini sharing is caring session today in the call, which is going to be kind of fun. But these are formal sessions that are with other members of the community. They are safe space, which means they're not recorded. They're live Teams calls, and they are hands-on. So when you join one of these, which we're going to be getting sessions scheduled here just after the summer, we're going to everybody a little bit of a break and opportunity to recharge their batteries. These sessions are live. You're going to actually do a contribution together with other members of the community in the call, and it counts as a contribution, which is super cool. But again, like I said, safe space, which means that we don't record it. And that means that you can ask any all questions without fear of it going on record, because a lot of times we double and second guess our questions and whether or not they're legitimate and valid, and we want everyone to learn. So it's a safe space, great opportunity to collaborate with other members of the community, ask questions, get involved, and it's really a lot of fun. So be on the lookout for that. And then once you do contribute, we want to recognize you for the amazing work that you're doing. And that is where our award-winning, because of all of you, recognition program comes into play. This is powered by Credly. These are accredited badges through the Credly system. A lot of fun to get these, but they are real and accredited, so they show you're making a difference. And why does that matter? Because you want to show your bosses and your managers that you're a leader in the community. And of course, it's the middle of superhero season, so the Porcupine Rises is the bonus badge, and you can earn earn this by getting 4 other badges that are available for the next 3 months. So get involved. If you need to learn a little bit more, well, stay tuned. We're going to talk about it today on this call. And you do need to opt in just once. It is absolutely free, aka.ms/community/recognition. And we want to congratulate Luis, who is the next contributor to have achieved all 5 bonus badges. We're starting to see a whole bunch of community members earning that bonus badge by contributing and getting all 4 and earning all 4 of the original ones: Code Crusader, Lasso of Learning, Cosmic Contributor, and Adamantium Achiever. So encourage you all. That bonus badge is absolutely free. Well, they're all free, really, but you get it as a bonus when you make those 4 contributions. So congratulate Luisa. Thank you so much. Hugo, back to you.
Fantastic. Thank you. We have tons of open sources project, like we talked about before. And to talk about the first one is, well, David. David, you're talking about it. I decided.
Okay, that's good. Usually Adam will cover this, but we have our Power Platform community and Microsoft 365 community blog. Now, this is open to everybody, by the way. You can contribute to this. Again, if you're writing some blogs and you want to share them with the community, it's okay to have them on this blog and on your own website. If you don't have a website, this is a great way to get started, so you don't have to worry about setting up a site and managing all of that goes with it. So we've got some amazing blog posts here by Gaurav on unlocking design freedom in SharePoint. Alex has covered traceability between workshops and user stories, and then Jacob on managed dev environment bottlenecks. So again, a great way to get showcased, a great way to share with the community, and this counts as a contribution. You see there's a dedicated blog author badge that you can earn, so please get involved. If you have any questions, reach out to any member of the team. I know Hugo's involved, Luis is involved, Adam is involved, I'm involved, so let us know if you have any questions, and we would love to help you. Hugo, back to you.
Thank you. Now let's talk about our Copilot prompt library. We welcome contributions from the community. If you have cool Copilot prompts that you think other people would benefit from, you can share them. You can go to aka.ms/pnp-prompt-library. And if you are looking for inspiration, please go take a look at that library, because there are tons of really cool Copilot samples. And we have our prompt of the week by Craig Tare. And his prompt is basically asking for a Copilot life coach. I'm not going to read it, but it's a great example here of how to get Copilot to help you not only in your day-to-day work life, but also your personal life. So thank you, Craig, for your contribution. Now let's talk about the PNP.js client-side library. The version 4.16 was released on August 11th. We have some package and documentation updates. Version 5 updates have started. You can actually go find the latest of the version 5 updates in the repo itself. And then if you want to get our nightly builds for version 4, you can go to npm install @pnp/sp@v4nightly. Make sure to do -save. All the documentation is available online, and you can join us on LinkedIn for more discussions about PNP.js. Now let's pass it to Gary to talk about our CLI for Microsoft 365 v10.
Thank you, Hugo. Yeah, as Hugo just mentioned, new release of CLI for Microsoft 365, version 10.10. So we've got 2 new commands for Microsoft Entra and SharePoint Online. We've also made a big update to docs as well. So now if you're looking at a command, you can see the minimal permissions that that command needs as well. So if you're wanting to make sure that your security posture is all present and correct, and you're using the least amount of permissions, you can now do that through our docs. We've also had a new release of the CLI for Microsoft 365 MCP server. So if you are using agents, you want to interact with your M365 tenant, you have up to 860 commands available now to manage that tenant using natural language. So we've had some improvements for efficiency, some maintenance updates as well, but we've made it super easy for you to use this MCP server in VS Code now as well. So if you go along to the repository on GitHub, there is a button that you can click and you can get that installed in your VS Code instance and use it straight away. So if you're wanting to get this version of CLI for Microsoft 365, you can get it from NPM and you can get it from Docker as well. Use our Docker container, just use the latest tags. For all information about the release notes, so changes, updates, go to aka.ms/CLI-M365/notes. And moving on. We have a new release of DevProxy, and this is our version 1, no longer V0. I know quite a few people who have been looking for this date. We are finally V1. So in this release, we've got new features. If you're building AI solutions, you want to inject failures and rate limits into your language model responses. You can now use DevProxy, also work out cost analysis as well. So based on the prompts, tokens that you're using, we can generate prices for those as well. But lots of improvements across the board, new tools as well. So we have a new org for tools. So if you're looking for integrations for DevProxy, so how do I use DevProxy in Visual Studio Code? How do I use DevProxy in GitHub Actions, for example? We have our tools repo where you can go and have a look, and we've updated our documentation as well. So yeah, please let us know feedback. We're always wanting to add more to DevProxy, so just let us know. And if you're wondering how the CLI for Microsoft 365 managed to work out all the minimal permissions for those 860 commands, they use DevProxy, because DevProxy can help you work out your minimal permissions for your APIs if you're calling graph as well. So little thing if you didn't know that. But yeah, thanks very much, everyone. And back to you, Hugo.
Thank you. All right, now let's talk about our reusable SPFx controls. We have two sets of libraries. One is the React controls, the other one's property controls. We are at version 3.22 on the React controls with a new control called the world map. We have now SPFx 121.1 support, and we have various enhancements and bug fixes. On the property control side, we're at version 3.21, and we now have SPFx 121.1 support. We'd like to thank all the contributors who are helping with this. You make a huge difference. And if you haven't tried these controls, go take a look. They're awesome. All right, now let's pass it to Nico to talk about the SharePoint Framework Toolkit for VS Code v4.8.
All right, thank you, Hugo. So no release, excuse me. We just refactored the product documentation for now. And we also start working on a milestone about the support for all SPFx version. So no big updates for this moment, but we will do a pre-release very soon. Back to you, Hugo.
Fantastic, thank you. Now, this cool animation always tells us that it's time for the PNP Modern Search by Casper.
Thank you, Hugo. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have any releases either. As the graphic kind of indicates, we have had some issues with the spanner breaking down what we are working on. The issue right now is that we have upgraded our DOM Purify module, and it's a bit too aggressive, and it's actually messing up our built-in templates. So we're still working on that. We've been working on that for since before the summer break, but now we're back in the saddle, and hopefully we can get this resolved, because we have a number of pull requests pulled up. So we hope to have a release pretty soon, but I've said that before, unfortunately. So we've had a little bit of issues here. So on the positive side, if you advance the slide a bit, once in a while, some of our customers out in the real world, and it goes for our project as well as all of the other PNP projects, sometimes people call out and say, well, what you do is wonderful, and that kind of fuels the engine. That kind of warms my heart, that some people really do have a benefit of what we're doing. Even sometimes we wonder if we're doing this for nothing, and but kind of this goes for all of our projects, of course, but in this case we just had this call out arriving within the hour. So that was a wonderful thing to see. Back to you, Hugo.
Thank you. And I really like the animation of the picture of the zebra football with legs. That's fantastic. All right, let's talk about the SPFx samples with me. We have 2 new updated web parts, or well, 1 updated, 1 new web part. The Quick Links Audience Targeting by Jeppe now, and the OKR Tracker by Sudeep Ghatak, which is a fantastic new sample that allows you to track and manage your OKRs. Thanks everyone for contributing. You can get to all the samples that we have in our community by going to aka.ms/community/samples. And if you'd like to get started in contributing to our web parts, you can go to aka.ms/SPFx-web-parts. And don't forget that when you contribute, you get the cool sample contributor SPFx Web Parts 2025 edition badge for your Credly. Now, Dave.
Yes, so
ACEs.
Yeah, thank you, Hugo. So we have 1 sample that has been contributed. The PR is still being processed, but we did want to say thank you to Ahmad for this plan tracker. So allows users to view and interact with planner tasks across projects. Pretty cool. Again, these ACEs are super cool because they're so small and condensed and compact, but provide a ton of value. So there is, as Hugo mentioned, some dedicated badges for these SPFX projects. 1 for web parts, 1 for extensions, and of course you see 1 for ACEs here. So don't hesitate to get involved. We'd love to send out and issue those badges as much as we possibly can. So thank you. Hugo, back to you.
And then, well, I'm bouncing it right back to you me because it's time for picture time.
It is. Yes, it is picture time. So let's get those cameras turned on, everybody, and I will share my screen. I think we're going to be playing tennis here for a couple of seconds, actually, which is going to be funny. So let me do this and move this over here. Great seeing those cameras on. So we only have 2 presenters today, so we'll give everybody a little extra second. I know Teams has been somewhat of latent in getting those cameras showing up within Together mode. So if you would like to wave to the community, we'll get these shared out on the socials. There's Paul, Zhao, I see Adam, excellent. Nico, great to see you all. Good. Casper, excellent. We'll give you just another second or 2 to get that turned on, and then we'll start the countdown. Oh, all right, CC. All right, excellent. Good. We'll give you just another second. I see some still coming in. And okay, we'll start the countdown, everybody. So 3, 2, and 1. Wave to the community. Awesome. Great to see you all again. Thank you all so much for all that you're doing. Really would not be possible to have these events, these calls, these projects without the dedication and passion that you bring into the community each and every day. So thank you so much. All right, Hugo, back to you.
Thank you. I'm laughing because I know what's happening next, which is, and now to do the first demo is David Warner from Quisitive talking about Copilot Samples and Contributions in under 7 minutes. So back to you, David.
All right. Yes, let me share my screen here. Of course, we got to do all that to get all the proper slides showing up, everybody. So very good. Okay, so who am I? I'm David Warner, and that's all my stuff there. So feel free to reach out. We'd love to collaborate with each and every one of you. Let me know if you have any questions. So yes, as Hugo mentioned, we are going to talk about the community today and how you can contribute. We have all kinds of samples and solutions and guidance that you can find at our community site. Community.ms or ak.ms/community/home will take you there. You can see things like Copilot prompts and library components, all kinds of list formatting, all kinds of stuff, right? Now, there's also some Copilot Pro Dev samples that are available, but you'll notice that if you come here and go to each and every single one of these, they're going to take you to the individual repo. And that might be a little hard to go and find everything where you want it to be. But did you know that we have a sample solution gallery that rolls all that up? So how do you get there? Well, you go to adoption.microsoft.com, right? So you go right over there and it will take you to the adoption page for Microsoft. When you come under Solutions, you're going to find a Sample Solution Gallery link. And that is going to take you to what is an aggregate of all of the samples that are available within the community from all the different repos in one easy-to-use space. So when you come there, it'll take you to a site that looks like this. And so you're going to see some featured samples. You're going to see a collection of products on the side, ways that you can filter, you can sort, you can search, and so you can find what you're looking for. So today we're talking about Copilot Pro Dev samples, and I know Paul is going to demo that here in just a little bit, but let's set that up for him. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do a search on agent. Okay, well, great. Now that is going to potentially come across a number of different products and technologies. It might be that there are different agents in different technologies, but I'm looking for a Microsoft 365 Copilot prompt. So what I can do is, you see, I've currently got 69 total results. And so if I come over here and filter, now I've got 54. So now I know that I'm seeing a little bit more of a focused result set that I'm looking for. So I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to look for something that looks, I don't know, positive. Oh, look at that. I'm looking for something positive. We want to contribute in a positive way, right? So there's Paul's positivity agent. So how would I use that? How would I get to it? I'd come over to positivity agent. It would teach me and show me a little bit about what is going on here, right? It's going to tell me references. I can download it directly from GitHub if I want. I can view it on GitHub, which we'll do in just a moment. By the way, bonus, when you contribute a sample, you are going to get a dedicated profile page here at adoption.microsoft.com. So here you can see that we have a collection of Bullock samples, right, from Paul Bullock, and this is a great way to show your involvement in the community. It's a great way to show all the ways that you contribute. Obviously, our badges are a great way too, but this is kind of a nice showcase of all of your samples that's put together by Microsoft. So it's a really, really cool way to kind of say, hey, if you'd like to see what I've been doing, check out my badges, but also, hey, check out all the samples that I've created. It's great for speaking. It's great for all kinds of stuff, right? So it's our way of kind of saying thank you to all those that are contributing. So I'm going to go back to here and we're going to come back to GitHub. And that's what we want to do, because we want to look at how we can not only take advantage of these samples, but also, hey, maybe we want to contribute back. Maybe we want to edit or improve an existing one or enhance it or a brand new one. So we're going to get into what is going to become a little bit of a sharing is caring session here. So I'm going to click on view on GitHub. And it's going to take me into the individual sample, and which is great because sometimes, let's face it, GitHub can be, I don't know, a little hard to navigate, and it's not the best UI UX, right? It's true. So we want to make sure that we understand it, but don't get overwhelmed by it. So it's going to take you directly into the sample that you can see here. So we can scroll down and we can see an overview of the positivity agent template. We learn a little bit about it. We're also able to see all the different things that are associated to it, the assets and the code and the environment, all the stuff that's associated. And this is across all the products and samples, by the way, everybody. So really GitHub is kind of the same way for all of them, but we're just focusing on the Copilot Pro Dev samples today. So what if I had my own sample? I love the positivity vibe that Paul is doing. What if I wanted to contribute back? Well, let's jump into that little mini sharing is caring. So I'm going to go back up to the root. Now this is going to take me to the root of this repository, which is PNP. Sorry. I want to click on that one right there. My bad. That was going to take me up to the very account. So I want to go to the root of this repository, which is that link right there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to do what's called forking. Now, if you're unfamiliar with forking, it just means you're making a copy of the repository in your own account. And why is that necessary? It's so that you can upload files, because in the production version of this repo, none of us have rights unless we're an administrator. So we need to be able to put our files somewhere to get put into production during what's going to be called a pull request. So I'm going to click on fork. And it's going to take me into creating a new fork. And you want to leave this repository name here. It says you can change it. And if you've already forked it, then you're going to need a different experience. But we're going to make the assumption that it's brand new for everybody. We want to leave that the same. And you're also going to see this copy the main branch. And that's fine. You could leave that the same too. Now, what I will say is, let me back up just one. I did want to mention that each repository has a slightly different potential requirement for contributing. And you can always find that at the contributing file. Now, for us in the community, that's always going to be there. You're always going to be able to click on the contribution guidance or contributing markdown file and find what the suggestions, the naming structures, and the convention sample folder, what's required for the README, what assets you may need, right, to be able to make all that work for you. And so you can follow that. And that's going to be specific to the individual repo. Okay, so once you've reviewed that, you can come in back into fork, and I'm just going to say create fork. And again, don't get caught up in these confusing verbs and languages and names. We'll explain them. And if you need a refresher, again, go join the Sharing is Caring once we get that scheduled. Okay, so now I forked it, and what it's allowed me to do is essentially, you'll notice I'm now in my own account, and I've got a copy of that repo, and I can see that there. I can see here it's told me it's forked from Copilot Pro Dev Samples. I can also see it up here in the actual URL. So we know that I'm no longer in production. So there's no fear that you're going to break something. You're in your own safe space. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, well, okay, I've got my own little agent, Captain Complement, right? I want to contribute this agent from Captain Complement into the contribution samples for this. So how could I do that? Well, typically what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go in and potentially install some software for Git or GitHub, or you might have to use VS Code, which is okay, right? If you have it downloaded and potentially an extension or something like that. But did you know that you could just do it all through the web? There is absolutely a feature here that is going to turn VS Code on in the web. But how do you do that? Well, there's a couple of different ways. One of which is using a magic key combination on your keyboard, and that is just hitting the period key. But what that does is it's just GitHub listening behind the scenes for that keystroke to have been hit. What actually happens is, and you can do this anytime on any GitHub site, just come change that .com to .dev. That's all that's really happening. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to come up and I'm going to go .dev, and I'm going to hit enter. And now you see it says setting up your web editor. And what's going to happen is it's going to take me into my web editor for VS Code. And so now I'm literally in VS Code working with GitHub in the web. I had installed nothing. This is amazing, right? It's super, super amazing. In fact, we need a woo. Woo! That's right. So now how can I do and work within the web? Do I still have to upload each individual file one by one? Well, no. Watch this. So if I come over to Captain Complement and I go to look at the properties here, then I'm going to see that this is 14 files and 4 folders. Okay, awesome. So now we kind of know exactly what we're working with. I can literally copy and drag and drop this. And so I'm going to do that. I'm just going to move it over here, and I'm going to drag and drop. And you'll notice that the samples kind of lights up when I do that, right? Kind of gets a little bit of gray. And don't worry, yours is not going to be purple and orange. That's just me and my Warner Digital favorite colors. But I'm going to copy this. I'm going to drop it. And now what happened is you'll notice that Captain Complement showed up here with a little A, which means it's adding. And so now it's there. And you'll see that when I look over here at my source code, that's what that little button is representing of, or is my source code. It says 14. Well, where do we see 14? When we looked at the properties. So we know that it added 14 files, and we can see that. I come over to source control, I see 14 files. I could even look at it if I want to in a list view here. It's just showing it in a tree view. If I wanted to just see them by themselves, I could do that, but tree view is a little bit nicer. Okay, now I am moving a little fast. Remember, you can join a Sharing is Caring session, but if I come up here, now it's just being stored directly in my browser. It's just temporary file storage, but I need to do what's called committing, which is a fancy way of saying save. So I'm just going to say adding new sample, and I'm going to hit commit and push, right? And what that means is it's pushing the files up into GitHub. All right, so I'm going to hit that. We're going to see that number disappear and be available to us now. And so that's indicative of the fact that we are done. We contributed, or I should say we added it to our GitHub. So now I'm going to go back to my repository. I'm going to get the little hamburger menu. I do wonder what a pizza menu would look like. Anyways, go to repository, and it's going to take me back to my repository. So now I'm in the Copilot Pro Dev Samples, and it tells me your branch is 1 commit ahead. That means that I've added something. It's ahead of production. And so now I'm going to come to the contribute button, and I'm going to go to open pull request. Now, for a lot of us, pull request is a very weird term, and we go into detail on this on the Sharing is Caring session, but let me just give you the nutshell version. Remember, Windows or Mac, when we're using Explorer Finder, we're used to pushing things around, right? We move folders from one location to another because we're typically administrators on our machine. But remember, in this scenario where we're working with a production repository that we do not have administrative rights to, we can't push anything up the chain. So what we do is we store it in a copied version in our own account, and then we send a request to the repo maintainers and the repo administrators of production and ask them to pull it in. So essentially, it's kind of a reverse of what our minds typically think, at least it was for me. So a pull request is, hey, I am sending you, Mr. or Mrs. Maintainer, a request to pull these files from my machine up into production, a la pull request. All right, so I'm going to open that up. And I'm going to show, it says adding new sample. And so let's just see, you typically want to fill this in and make sure that you get some description in here. A lot of them already have templates, right? But I've got one here that's ready. Every repo needs a hero, not the one we deserve, but the one who aggressively believes in our potential, right? I looked at this code and whispered, wow, clearly this wasn't vibe coded because, hey, it actually works. I know, it's a little joke, but yeah. Okay, so that's how you would fill it in. You would add a little bit more detail on the title, and then you would click create pull request, leave the allow edits by maintainers on because that allows the maintainers to work with you and make changes if need be. This was a very rapid approach to understanding the ecosystem of the samples. So hopefully you found value in it. Again, go join a Sharing is Caring session. We go into more detail. We walk you through it. Like I said, this was a nutshell version of it, but that's kind of your process to doing it. I think I went a little over 7 minutes, so I apologize. I was trying to, and on this 7th of August, I was trying to at 7 a.m. Pacific time, trying to get in 7 minutes. It didn't quite work. No jackpot for us. But this is how you would start creating a sample and contributing to the community. So go get involved. Go to community.ms. Let me hand it back to Hugo. We're going to get into a little bit more detail on some of those Copilot Pro Dev samples. Hugo, back to you.
Thank you, David. That was fantastic. I believe this was your first demo today, right?
Yes, it was. Yes, my first one at 7 a.m. on Pacific time. Ew, thank you for noticing. I appreciate that.
No problem. We always welcome new speakers. All right, let's pass it to Paul. Paul, you can take over the screen anytime you want, as long as it's now.
Okay. Okay, so that was a pretty cool demo from David. So this is cool. So I'm going to be talking a similar sort of topic on contributing to Copilot Dev Samples. Yeah, so the subject of this today is Copilot Extensibility Unleashed. We've got a library of samples that everyone can leverage. So, oops, that totally changed to the, so I'm just gonna, this is where I just missed a step. My bad. So I just want to introduce myself. I'm Paul Bullock. I've been part of PMP for nearly 6 years now, actually. So I've been, been around a bit. So I'm a script samples owner. I've been blogging, an MVP as well in Copilot Extensibility and M365 development. And many of you probably know me for many of my bad jokes and puns. So I don't really apologize, but I kind of do. So, and if you want, you can check out my website. I'm going to jump straight into demo. So this is me playing with demo time, which is a great new extension that I've had 10 seconds to use. So sorry for the slight snafu there, but that's cool. So what I want to talk to you about is a bit like what David presented. So you've got Copilot Dev Samples here. I'm doing in dark mode because well, actually that's my default setting, so I didn't change that. So in dark mode, I will show you how this all works. So as part of PMP, obviously Copilot Pro Dev Samples. If you have the opportunity to watch David's demo earlier, check that out. He goes into a bit more detail on how to contribute, so certainly check that out. But for me, make sure that when you're in this repo, if you want to contribute to this, hit the fork. It will pop up with a repository. I've already done this ahead of time anyway, so select yourself in there and then create that fork, and then that will be available to you. And then it will look something like this. So you've got your space is basically a copy of your code, so that you can then submit that contribution. Now I want to create a declarative agent for Copilot. I have set this up in CodeSpace. So what I've got here is I've got a space for this set of demos. I'm using CodeSpaces as the way that I author this. So I'm basically building a Copilot agent in the browser in GitHub Codespaces. So to use that. So just to switch back to the actual code space itself, I can tell it's a code space. It's got a really funky URL. Silver Fiesta is the I had something potato last time I used this, which I really like the name of. So so you get this sort of dev space. The main differences between the two is one's browser based. This one's more like a VM, where you've got like a small compute space where you can develop your code and so forth. So I'm just going to break out of the demo time thing here. So just I think this is going to be a bit of an issue. So I'm going to do this a slightly different way, because what I was going to show you on the extensions panel, which is typically on the left hand side, if this is on my local machine, I'd see that, and you can see that now. Yes, I would open a desktop, but I've not configured this demo for this, so I'll model on without it. So essentially, you've got an extension called M365 Agents Toolkit that you would need to install. So I'm going to use the F1 tools anyway, and then just bring it here. So what I want to do is I want to create a new agent or application. Hopefully that will load. So it will load that. So typically you click on an icon and there would be like a green box that you click. There it is in my interface for creating an agent. So what I want to do is create a decorative agent. I'm just going to hit copy to the code there. And then I don't want any action. I'm just going to set my workspace a minute. So I need to navigate up, because it's a bit like a Linux VM actually. So what I want to do is I want to set that there and then there. So what that means is it's creating my agent in that toolkit, right? Okay. I'll create the application name, which is an agent called the PnP Script Samples agent. So it's something that I've been toying with. So what that'll do is that'll create the agent. It will then pop it in the window here. It will load up and so forth. So this is a fully functioning agent. I'm just going to switch back, because what I've done is I've actually pre-baked a lot of the assets for this. So I've got images. I'm just going to run through my demo time examples. So images, I want to populate the instructions file. So this comes with your agent, just to type that in. So that's all in place. As you can see here on the navigation experience here, you've got these files being populated. I want to show you the manifest as well. So this is like just a description of your application. So a bit of details about you. It's filling out the developer information, then the description. So make sure the users know what it is. And then that's all sort of all pre-populated. This next one is the slightly more interesting one. So this is what it is. I'm upgrading the schema to 1.5, which was just released like a few days ago. I saw a notification on LinkedIn, which is cool. So there are some new capabilities that have come with decorative agents, which has come through. So what I've done is I've gone through and put in the capability. So that is choosing what data source you want for your decorative agent. And I've targeted the GitHub project of script samples. Don't at the moment target the navigation sites. They don't currently work because they're for some reason not being indexed by Bing, so they won't show up in the results. So, but the GitHub repos are fine. You've also got the conversation starters, which are then Finder scripts, just a code sample and contributions, for example. And then there's these new two blocks at the bottom that I've added. So you've got disclaimer. So if you want to provide some sort of warranty information or some statement that you want to notify the users, just to show what that is. And this is actually new as part of schema 1.5. So you can switch to that, and also the behavior overrides as well. So this is another block where you can disable the suggestion. So you don't want it to provide, it provides like a little 3-pill like descriptions below your prompts, so suggestions, and then you've got the special instructions. So what that will allow you to do is basically stop using the model's knowledge. So if you want it to explicitly only use the data sources that you provide, which is something that I want to do as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to switch over to the other tab here because that's the way. See, it's working in this interface. The way, which is good really because I want to deploy this. The way that M3 Agents Toolkit works is it have to be the parent folder has to be the whole agent, not just the subfolder, as you can see in the other tab. So I'm already connected to my tenant anyway. But what I want to do is just go ahead and provision that just to show you that in operation at the moment. So give me a couple of seconds. As you might have noticed, I've got quite a few references to other initiatives I've got going on. So I feel like a power socket with loads of plugs in it. So in this demo, so hopefully that will pop through, which is cool. Yep. So what I want to do now is it's behind my pill, but I'm going to go over here and we should see. I'm just going to refresh this interface. A few things actually. Firstly, I've got my PMP script samples, PMP PowerShell, appeared in here as well. The other thing is the interface has changed. So I timed this demo really well because there's a few new things that were introduced recently. So you've got the new agent interface, which shows in the middle now, not at the bottom. That disclaimer statement is also showing for you as well. For some reason, it's not rendering, but it also will now attribute your name. So if the developer information you put at the beginning, that will now show in this agent. And so just as an example, just to show you it connecting to the data source. Thank you, Don. Actually, I might try that on the other one. Let's give that a go when this is run through. So that's run through. As you can see, it's responded as well. It's linked to the repo. But if I say, tell me some information about bananas, for example, you will then find that it won't respond to you because we've turned off the model knowledge. And because we've only targeted the script samples and my repo doesn't have any information about bananas, sadly, I feel like I should, but I don't. It responds accordingly. So you can remove the model knowledge from your responses, which is in some scenarios quite useful as well. So what we're going to do is we've got this agent. We're going to go back to this sample repository. Now I want to contribute to ProDev samples, as David recently just shown. I'm going to take this whole agent and I want to move it over to that repo. So typically you'd have an agent in a repo that you own another one, and then you've got a fork. So there's a few repos in play here. So I'm just trying to hopefully bear with me and you can walk through. So I'm going to open up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clone the repo. So if you haven't done this before, on your repo, you've got a little code box, and then you've got a little statement there where you can copy it, and then you can do a git clone. So just because I've already prepped this, I'm just going to clone it now. And so what that does is it pulls down all your code locally onto the code space, so you can then change the code. So I'll give that 1 second. And there we go. So I'm just going to do dir just to show that. So we've got this community demo one is the one that I'm based the whole framework for this demo anyway. And then you've got the repo that I'm submitting to. So what I want to next do is I want to copy this agent over to this. So I'm using a copy command. Obviously, David's shown you a UI way of doing it. So this is another way you can do it within code spaces as well. So that has copied over into that repo. And then what I want to do is navigate to that. And then what you can do is then do code open. And then what it'll do is open up another tab. And then that will focus on like a code space that's focused on this repo. Now, what I have done to slightly pre-can this demo is, firstly, it's copied over the agent over to the repository. I've also got some demo files as part of demo time, so please ignore those in that. But they're not relevant to the submission process. Firstly, I don't know if you noticed on David's one, Captain Courageous. So you've got this DA sort of naming. You've got this sort of naming convention. So firstly, rename your folder, which I'm just going to quickly run a command to do because I've bit lazy, so I just want a button. But typically you would just just do a simple rename so it's a bit more consistent with the rest of the repo. The other thing you would need to do is create an assets folder. So with the solution sample gallery, in order to get your sample to that repository, what you need is a JSON file that contains a series of metadata. So in the repo, in Copilot Pro Dev Samples, under Templates folder, we do have these sample files here. So we've got sample, template, JSON. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that sample template JSON file over to the new sample, like so. And you'll see it pop up here, and also rename it. So it's basically called sample.json. And then that will be ready for you to populate. And what this does is there is actually a service that crawls all the repos, all of our PnP repos actually, that then brings all these sample files, which is acting like metadata for your sample, into the solution sample gallery, so that you can then, customize the way it looks and things like that with images and metadata. So you've got a bit of control over how it would render. We do have a standard, so I'm just going to run you through that. So I'm just going to open that up now. And as you can see here, this is the template. We've got, as you can see, these sort of markers here. So I'm just going to go through this: creation dates, metadata, thumbnails, and then authors. So it's not big. Again, a lot of our other repos have similar metadata that needs to be populated in order to submit your sample. So I'm just going to highlight this. So the first one is your sample name. It's used in a few places. So what I'm going to do is just do a find and replace on that one, just so that it's so I'm using, sorry, I used keyboard command there, so I use Control H. And then what you need it to do, I've kind of cheated with the demo time to actually populate my clipboard. So your sample name should be populated with the same folder name that you're submitting under. So just replace that. And then the next one is the title. So it's just use here. So that's not too bad. I'm just going to replace that here, and then paste that in. And then we've got PnP Script Samples Agent, which is the title of your application. So it's like a friendly title for your submission. And then we've got the short description, which is used here, and here actually there's a couple of them in place. So I'm just going to do a find and replace on that very quickly, and then that will get you that. So again, I've put that into the clipboard and paste that. But again, make it descriptive. What I have done is, just to make it easy, I've just used the because I put that in the application manifest originally, so I just reused the same description from that manifest, and you can do that. As long as it tells people what the agent does, and that's great. Importantly, update the dates, because obviously the dates need to be now. So make sure that you're submitting this as today, otherwise it'll be submitted in the past and perhaps won't show as the latest sample in the gallery. We do look for these things when people submit, but yeah. The next one is the metadata. So this one's quite straightforward, hopefully. Just for a declarative agent, Copilot, JSON, because it's JSON based. Does it use an API plugin? No, not in this example. And graph connector, probably should consider possibly removing that. We've got a separate repo for that, but yeah, that's set to no as well. The next thing you want to do is update the thumbnail. So again, I've pre-baked this slightly. So this has to be the location of the file within your repo. So in your sample that you're submitting, under assets, you've got script samples preview. Here's a preview image that I did. I took this just before the UI update. As you can see, it looks a bit different there. So just to show what Microsoft have recently done, I do need to update that image. That's a task on me, but that's cool. I just wanted to show that there. So it gives people a sense of what it's supposed to do when you do install this into an environment with a M365 Copilot license. So the next thing I want to do is get rid of the video thumbnail. I'm not going to be producing a video for this, so just scrub that out. And then, quite importantly for you, because you're doing all this effort, is to make sure that you put your details of your GitHub account so that we can attribute you. So as you saw on the solution sample gallery, you can filter by author and by account. So this is where that metadata is fed into it. So yeah, and that's all of the sample JSON files. So the next and last thing that we would need to take care of is the README file. So just to very quickly, because I just created an agent for you in front of you. It's obviously got the boilerplate descriptions. Let me just get rid of that. And that can be quite standard, but we've got a slightly different format. So what I recommend is to rename your README to an old, and then just copy our template over here. So I've got, again, there's a README template file. I won't walk through creating the whole thing. But this is the kind of format that we're looking for. So just a summary, who the contributors are, again, attribute yourself or any people that you've worked with, any because it's just a little path to awesome. And then make sure that you reference your folder at the end here, because we've got a tracking image for on the repos. So that's all of the samples created. So next thing you need to do is, you can notice there's a slightly higher than 14 that was demoed. It's because of my demo files that's probably throwing that off. So what you would then need to do is then stage the contribution. I'm going to put it as initial commit. Yeah, and then I'm going to push that to the I don't have that. Oh, right, okay. No, okay, I won't show that bit. That's fine, because David covered that anyway. So typically what would happen anyway is it would get pushed up into ProDev samples, into your sorry, that's not your one, it's the other one. My bad, I've got a thing with the window. 1 second. So it would appear in here typically, and then what you do is then hit on that contribute button. There will be a green button saying create a create a pull request, and then you can submit that accordingly. So that's it for the demo. I just wanted to show you the contribution experience, just to show you how to get that into the repo. I think the reason why it didn't work is because there's a permissions issue, but I need to clean that up later. But yeah, that's how you would get it into that. There are other ways of doing this. You can do this on a local desktop. It's probably slightly easier, or you can do it in the browser if you're roaming around. So there's loads of ways you can contribute to this. Filling out the files, as you saw there, is typically the sort of standard way to submit these samples for this repo. Different repos, just to know, different repos have slightly different rules. Have a look at their contributing documentation, and that will help you out in your journey to contribute. So that's it for me. Back to you, Hugo. Thank you very much for everybody listening. And yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. That was a great demo. Thanks to both presenters, David and Paul, for an awesome session today. All right. So if you have feedback, like the presenter is so hot, so handsome, or the presenter is too French Canadian, you can actually go to aka.ms/community/calls/feedback and provide us with your feedback. Ooh, fancy animation. If you'd like to join our official Discord server, you can do so, and then you can connect with us. You can learn and collaborate. We have a fancy QR code there, but we have over 2,800 members. If you don't want to use a QR code, you can also go to aka.ms/community/discord, and we look forward to meeting you there. Thank you to everyone. The recording will be available in 24 hours on the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel at aka.ms/community/YouTube. Make sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date with all the cool videos that we publish all the time. Our next Viva Connection and SPFx call is going to be on August 21st at 7 a.m. Pacific time. Our next M365 and Power Platform call is going to be on August 7th. If you want to get all the community calls in one place, you can go to aka.ms/community/calls. And with that, we'd like to thank everyone.